statement has cautioned the public against terrorism threats as witnessed during the civil riots last year.
But surely we shall catch up with those people who are misusing the social media to misguide our people by negative propaganda, talking about involvement in terror activities.
Karamoja and Sebei sub-regions are key security areas of interest since cattle rustling has resurfaced. Abdul Nasser, Lubwama, UBC News.
Members in the transport sector, especially those conducting commuter taxi businesses, are advised to immediately begin implementing the standard operating procedures set in curbing COVID-19. This follows the relaxation of these guidelines, which has made members of different associations in the transport sector, with the help of police, to start conducting operations on the violators of these guidelines. We have more.
The relaxation of standard operating procedures against COVID-19 in the transport sector has prompted associations and police to reinforce guidelines issued by government and the Ministry of Health. This has been disclosed by leaders of various commuter taxi associations at a press conference at Uganda Media Center in Kampala. Public Relations Officer, Kampala Operational Tax Stages Association, Moses Birungi Maweje, asserts that a tax must carry only 8 passengers, with the exception of its driver and the conductor.
So otherwise the vehicle should have 10 people, but the passengers, paying passengers, should be 8. Another thing is that we should observe the speed limit. We should not overspeed when we are carrying passengers. Otherwise we are relaxed, and we felt we might cause some problem for ourselves by compelling the government to lock us down again.
Maweje further stresses that all taxis should have sanitizers at all times, with passengers wearing face masks, and that taxi park management should ensure there are points for washing hands at all entrances. Taxi operators were urged to be mindful of the curfew hours set by government.
Should have some small tanks of water and soap for every passenger who boards to wash his or her hands. Number 3, we should have sanitizer bottles in our vehicles. That's a must, that we should have sanitizer bottles, because even if somebody washed his hands or hands in the park, there are those we get on the transit.
Police spokesperson, Kampala Metropolitan Patrick Onyango, asked those using private transport not to exceed the minimum number of people they are supposed to carry.
The law that we shall use is the Penal Code Act, Section 171, which states that any person who unlawfully or neglectfully does any act which he or she knows has reason to believe to be likely to spread the infection of any disease dangerous to life, commits an offense and is liable to imprisonment for 7 years.
He says police is to arrest excess passengers found in taxis during their operations.
We shall pick you the 9th passenger and charge you. We have also got information that there are people using private cars to transport passengers, yet they are not licensed as passenger service vehicles, or PSV. Private cars were allowed to carry only 4 passengers, not 7.
Onyango says border riders will also not be exempted, especially those caught carrying more than 1 passenger. These operations are to be in place until government announces that Uganda is COVID-19 free. Sudat Kai, UBC News.
Now, the General Court Martial in Makindye, headed by Lieutenant General Andrew Guti, has for the 3rd time declined to grant a bail application for Eddie Mutwe, Nubian Lee, and 36 other National Unity Platform supporters. While delivering this ruling, the chairman, Lieutenant General Andrew Guti, says the 36 accused persons are likely to cause acts of violence if released on bail.
This court finds surety substantial for the applicants whose bail was not opposed by the counsel for the respondent.
During the last court session at General Court Martial, presided over by Chairman Lieutenant General Andrew Guti, granted 13 National Unity Platform bail, however, declined to grant 36 out of 49 bail. In his ruling, based on the letter from Detective Assistant of Inspector of Police, Wetaka Peter, attached to CID, Wetaka informed court that the accused are likely to cause violence once granted bail. On this, Lieutenant General Andrew Guti remanded the accused to Kigo and Chitalia prison until 15th February 2021 to give ruling in their application. Monday afternoon, 36 NUP supporters appeared before the General Court Martial in Makindye to receive the ruling in their bail application. Lieutenant General Andrew Guti, after pursuing both submissions of both sides in the case before him, dismissed the bail application, saying once the accused are released on bail, they are likely to cause violence.
1. The act of violence by the applicants are likely to continue if released on bail. In the premises, this court declines to grant bail to the applicants. The application is hereby dismissed. The state is ordered to expedite the hearing of the main case.
General Guti remanded the accused suspects to Kigo and Chitalia prisons, respectively. However, after the court adjournment, National Unity Platform lawyers voted to appeal the ruling of court, saying it was unfair to the accused.
Saying that the acts of violence are likely to continue. Under the laws, when someone declines to grant bail, they are obliged to give reasons. Those reasons need not be speculative, need not be just fantasy or conjecture, like court has done this afternoon. We are not going to go back to this court to apply for a fresh bail application.
Lawyers, we are going to petition High Court to seek redress so that our clients can actually be released on bail. And as you can see, already there is a challenge that these were actually not even supposed to be appearing before the General Court Martial. So those are all issues of concern that we're going to raise in the High Court.
However, all is not lost. National Unity Platform's legal team is determined to sustain the legal battle with the hearing of the case once the state is set.
Yeah, we're very disappointed with this ruling, but as lawyers, we are ready to pursue this case and show the entire world that our clients are innocent of the charges that are being levied against them.
Whereas General Guti's ruling maintained the status quo of not granting bail to the suspect, the relatives remained in grief and not contented with the ruling of the court. Meanwhile, chaos broke up at the court premises, but the military police foiled its progress. Among the demanded suspects include Eddie Sebufu, alias Eddie Mutwe, Bukeni Ali, alias Nubian Lee, among others. Lydia Chomkama, Deborah Namamonde, UBC News.
Male Mabirizi runs to Supreme Court demanding Chief Justice Alfonso Olunyidolo to excuse himself from the bench of 9 justices currently presiding over Chagulanyi's election petition. Mabirizi says Justice Dolo was once a president's lawyer whose final verdict in Chagulanyi petition shall bear conflict of interest, and that's why he's petitioning for Chief Justice Olunyidolo to excuse himself from the bench.
9 justices of the Supreme Court are presiding over Robert Chagulanyi Ssentamu's presidential electoral petition in the just concluded 2021 polls. The Supreme Court bench is led by Chief Justice Alfonso Olunyidolo and presided over by other 8 justices. Despite 9 justices presiding over the Supreme Court's bench in Robert Chagulanyi Ssentamu's petition, Male Mabirizi now demands Chief Justice Alfonso Olunyidolo step aside as he cites conflict of interest.
Attached Olunyidolo's CV which CV he gave to the Judicial Service Commission in 2017 when he wanted to become Deputy Chief Justice. Here I say that he was a defense lawyer representing Museveni in 2006 election petition. Now, question is, if you are a lawyer, a personal lawyer of one of the parties, can you be a judge in the case? The answer is no. But Onyidolo has kept on sitting in this case.
Malema Birizi is an expert in Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu's electoral petition, but claims Dolo presiding over the bench is contrary to the constitution and the basic principles of fair hearing.
Then they have been concerned that you're not a party, you cannot come to court. That's false. I don't need to be a party, because our constitutional article 3 gives us all power to defend the constitution, but more importantly, it gives us power to fight corruption.
Malema Birizi also accuses Chief Justice for holding several meetings with President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, yet is presiding over the bench in Kyagulanyi's petition.
So arising from that, the second one is meeting Museveni. He met Museveni at the judicial, the annual lawyer, when the case was here. He even met him at State House at the swearing in of Justice opinion. Then he was claiming that Simanyi was filing a budget. But the question is, you have a Deputy Chief Justice. The Deputy Chief Justice is supposed to do that work in case you are not, especially in this case where you are conflicted. But you cannot meet a party with whom you have a case at the same time and come back and sit in that case.
Malema Birizi also wants Supreme Court to set aside the ruling which was delivered by this Honorable Court on Thursday last week, where Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu was seeking amendments in his petition.
Because the person who participated in that ruling was not supposed to sit. And I've given them the authority of UK, of General Pinochet, where the House of Lords in UK had to set aside its own decision, because one of the judges who sat had a problem, had a conflict of interest.
It has been a tug of war between the Supreme Court registrars to receive Malema Birizi's application. According to the rules governing this court, the Chief Justice may step aside in case one tables substantial evidence against him.
No, we are saying that Malema Birizi is a bystander in as far as this matter is concerned. He's not a party, he's not a council, and therefore he cannot be seen to.
Now, the Supreme Court's Registrar's Office this morning declined to receive Robert Kyagulanyi's affidavits by the National Unity Platform legal team led by counsel Anthony Wameri. According to Judiciary spokesperson Jameson Karimani, the petitioner's time indicated by court to have filed the affidavits ended yesterday, Sunday, and there was no way the registrar could have extended court's orders to receive the affidavits. Our court reporter tried to reach a National Unity Platform legal team, but they declined to make any comment on this. Yesterday, the 14th of February 2021, NUP legal team was able to file 53 affidavits in Supreme Court, and today the team had come with an additional 126 affidavits as supplementary affidavits to the first filed affidavits.
When the court convened, it gave directives on how the case is going to be managed, and one of those was filing of affidavits, and each side was given timelines within which to file the affidavits. When court pronounces itself like that, it's not just an ordinary directive, it's an order. So the court gave the orders on how people should file their affidavits, how the parties should file their affidavits. So all the parties are obliged to follow what the court ordered. So if you don't follow what the court has ordered you, then you are falling outside the directives of court, and the court cannot accept you to follow its orders. So that is the position. All the parties must abide by the orders of court. If they have told you that you should do this by this time, you have got to do it. It's because the court must act within the timelines which are also given by the law. So the court is also acting under the command of the law, which gives the timelines within which to manage the presidential election petition.
Okay.
So that is the position.
Okay, they were like yesterday they informed you about that issue, that they're going to come back and file the evidence.
Yes, you see, they were informing the registrar, but the directive was given by the judges, and therefore the registrar cannot alter what the judges ordered. That's the position. They have received the affidavits which they filed within the period that was given. It would require you now to convene the judges again to alter what they ordered. which the registrar cannot do because these are directives of court, and the court was constituted by a panel. Now the registrar, who is one single person, cannot come and say, I'm extending the time. When the court gives directives that this should be done within this period, that is an order of court. So when they give you that directive, you are supposed to abide by it. If you don't do it, you know you are violating a court order, and you cannot be entertained to do so.
Within the course of today, and all conditions allowed.
Now, some of the MPs that failed to make it in the just concluded presidential and parliamentary elections have faulted the opposition in Uganda for disrupting the growth of mature politics in the country. Bernard Atiku, a former FDC MP who defected to the NRM in the dying months to the 2021 general elections but couldn't make it back together with others, make a tale of how the opposition is to blame for the slow growth of Uganda's democracy.
Uganda held its first presidential elections in 1996, where all candidates were independents as political parties were banned at that time. After nearly 20 years, a referendum on restoring multi-party politics was held in 2005. Currently, Uganda boasts of about 26 different political parties. The 2017 findings from Afrobarometer survey report indicates that Uganda is among the 7 countries whose supply of democracy has remained largely stagnant and unchanged, with an increase of 3% point between 2012 and 2015. The same report agrees with the demand for democracy in Uganda, which appears to fluctuate around election years. A measurable example is the 2021 just concluded election, which has called for a trajectory demand for mature democracy across the different political spectrum prior and in the aftermath of the elections. Arinda Gordon Kakuma, the Member of Parliament Bushenyi Ishaka Municipality, narrates where the possible gaps emerge from.
I was an observer in 1996 presidential and parliamentary elections, and I remember that time I was actually based in Lakai district, and I saw what was going on. The elections were fair that time. People were free to give out their views and traverse the country. Same thing happened in 2001, 2006, 2011. There would always be people coming up to say, you know, it was not fair, especially the opposition side. But I would think that actually there is a lot of democracy, especially when you look at the way the elections were organized.
Bernard Atiku, the Member of Parliament for Nyivu County, thinks otherwise, citing inadequate enforcement of the laws of the land. Atiku claims incumbents enjoy more of the state power than the competitors.
So I think that is where we fault the state. Over the anxiety that we see in the public is as a result of the way the state exercises its powers.
The move for a more open and free political societies in Uganda has witnessed more youth participation in the political space, which also contributes to the country's democratic growth.
Well, I really don't think that they are oppressed. The youth are getting into politics simply because they have been awakened. They have been waken up because of the good governance and democracy that was ushered in by the NRM.
The MPs think that the onus is now on government and relevant authorities to strengthen efforts to implement the rule of law in Uganda if the citizens are to enjoy the benefits of democracy. President-elect Yoweri Tibahaburwa Museveni, during his last address on security matters, assured the country of accountability of every Ugandan under the NRM government. This follows reports of alleged disappearances and kidnaps of people by suspected state security players, a matter that is taking a toll on the center stage.
So really, the government owes the public an explanation as far as these abductions or arrests are concerned, because once you arrest people, you're also supposed to take them to gazetted areas.
But the point is, why are all these arrests taking place after elections. I think that's the issue we need to find ourselves. We need to ask ourselves, why is it happening at this time? So I do believe that if we go as per the laid out laws and the constitution and other law books, we should be able to handle this very well so that Ugandans do not feel that they are being disenfranchised or they are being hunted down for no reason.
Daniel Mugoya, UBC News.
The Anglican Church is set to celebrate the 44th Janani Luwum Day tomorrow, the 16th of February 2021. The day's activities, whose theme is Life in its Fullness, derived from the book of John, chapter 10, verse 10, will take place at State House, Entebbe. The scientific ceremony will be presided over by President-elect Yoweri Kaguta Tibuhaburra Museveni as the chief of guest. More in the story.
I have come that they may have life and have it in its fullness. John 10:10 is this year's theme for commemoration of St. Janani Luwum Day. Born in 1924 in Acholi land, northern Uganda, Janani Luwum was murdered in 1977 by the then regime of Idi Amin for his relentless efforts against evil practices in the country.
It is against his faith that he was murdered by Idi Amin in cold blood. So he's a man that we should remember who did not compromise his integrity in the areas of peace and justice. He stood his faith and he died a man of faith. So we can remember him on those issues.
Janan was the second Archbishop of Uganda, Rwanda, Burundi and Boga Zaire, and the first African Archbishop to die in office.
And because of his position against the regime of Idi Amin, his death galvanized the national and international concerns in order to overthrow him, which took place 2 years after that. But also one important thing that we should know about this man, when he died, the Church of Canterbury made him a martyr. So he's recognized as one of the 20th century martyrs. And they erected a chapel in his memory in Westminster Abbey in Canterbury.
But why do Christians celebrate his life? The Director Religious Affairs, Office of the President, Reverend Canon Aaron Mwesije, urges leaders to emulate the life of the late Archbishop Janani Luwum.
But I think the message is that we should emulate his life. If leaders in the Anglican Church have not done it, it is high time they do it. As we continue celebrating his life, we do it to affirm that his faith was second to none as far as believing in Christ is concerned and living his word is concerned. Janani Luwum lived life in its fullness. He lived a life of integrity, and the word integrity comes from integer, and integer means whole number.
His Grace, the Archbishop of the Church of Uganda, Dr. Stephen Samuel Kazimba, will be the guest preacher at the function to be held Tuesday at State House in Entebbe. The guest of honor is expected to be President-elect Yoweri Kaguta Tibuhaburra Museveni. It's now 6 years since the government declared 16th February a public holiday in commemoration of the late Janani Luwum. Mutonyi Hilda, UBC.
Now, police in Kampala has confirmed that it's holding a one Ferdinand Luther who caused traffic jam on Kampala Road in protest of the alleged continued abductions without trial of Ugandans. Luther will spend his night, Monday night, at a police station in Kampala before being produced in court to answer preferred charges against him.
Early morning, police arrested one Ferdinand Luther who was beating up President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni's dummy along Kampala lights following his dissatisfaction over continued alleged kidnaps and abductions of Ugandans. While using a speaker, Luther was communicating to the public, which attracted the attention of the public, hence causing jam on the busy Kampala road. Many people had started converging, wanting to know exactly what's not going on with Luther. This called in for the swiftness of police to disperse the crowds that had started growing bigger. Police arrested Luther, who as well was in possession of President Museveni's dummy, who was taken to the Central Police Station. Deputy spokesperson Kampala Metropolitan Luke Oyesjiri has reiterated on the situation.
On allegations of inciting violence and also obstruction of traffic. We are investigating, but what we got to know on ground is that he held out a doll and started beating it up, alleging a lot of things about the government. But we call upon this person to find legal ways to have his queries answered, other than blocking traffic, yet people are waking up to go on their normal duties.
Shaidat in Nasaku, UBC.
UPDF 3rd Division Commander Brigadier Joseph Balikudembe has appealed to local leaders in the Karamoja sub-region to team up with security forces to fight against the return of cattle rustling. The call follows Karamojong leaders' call for disarmament as cattle rustling intensifies in the region.
Persistent cattle rustling by Karamojong warriors has forced leaders in the region to demand for fresh redisarmament program. The redisarmament exercise targets the remaining guns currently used by Karamojong warriors, destabilize the current peace in the sub-region.
For long, these criminal elements have been conducting cattle thefts, cattle raids, generation after generation. So whoever thinks that the cattle rustling or thefts ended, yes, it ended, but some few elements remained, and since the launch we have been dealing with them.
UPDF 3rd Division Commander Brigadier General Joseph Balikudembe has pointed out the wrong elements as part of the communities that have engaged in this illegal activity.
And these lives were lost because of some criminals that have been moving around, armed criminals. And recently we managed to catch up with them, and we arrested some of them, and others were put out of action. And that's why you have seen that there is a reversed situation.
More guns have been recovered in Karamoja in 2020, more than the previous years.
If I may bring you in some 3 years back to date, for example, in 2017, we recovered 56 guns, and 2018, we recovered 66. 2019, we recovered 70 guns. Then 2020, we recovered 148. And you see, these are stepped up operations and making sure that once they get out of hiding, we are able to deal with them and recover many guns as much as they raise up.
The resumption of cattle rustling is being encouraged by some local community leaders who are direct beneficiaries of this illegal activity. The situation has been worsened by the porous border of Uganda, Kenya, and South Sudan.
Yes, we have a very big porous border between us and Kenya, South Sudan, and we still receive intelligence information about the infiltration of small arms and light weapons, but we are trying to make sure that we have some patrols along the borderline.
This is part of the big chunk of land which is unused in this sub-region of Karamoja
It's an advantage for the Karamojong warriors to utilize such big lands to carry out their raids. Mutesa Sira Haruna, reporting for UBC News.
Thank you, Haruna, for that report. Minister for ICT and National Guidance Judith Nabakova has urged residents of Mityana to put aside politics and focus on developmental projects. Nabakova was attending a Thanksgiving ceremony for NRM's Busulwa Juma, who was elected to lead Malangala sub-county.
The Thanksgiving ceremony was organized by Malangala Sub-County NRM Busulwa Juma, winner of the recent local council election. Donned in a yellow dress, the outgoing woman member of parliament for Mityana district, also Minister for ICT and National Guidance, Judith Nabakova, presided over the event.
Abantu be Malangala mwebale nnyo mwebalire ddala temujjango ko mwebale kuwa abaami bano buvunaanyizibwa kugenda kubaweereza babawadde obuvunaanyizibwa nze entanda gye mbasibirira kukolera abantu kuweereza abantu kumanya nsonga zikwata ku bantu kumanya ngeri ki gye tuyinza okunyweza abantu baffe ne saavisi okuva mu gavumenti okulaba ng'etuuka ku bantu baffe.
To those who are set to assume office in May this year for 2021-2026 term of office, Nabakova noted that service above self should be a priority.
Thank God, and we thank the supporters and the voters for the work well done. They have energized us as leaders. And we want also to reassure them that Muzei is comfortably seated, waiting for his swearing in come May 12th. He's going to support Mityana. He will never cease to support Mityana. And I wanted to reassure them that we are going to be there, supporting them as their leaders in one way or another to see that NRM is grounded as far as Mityana is concerned.
As government continues rolling out communal development projects such as NADS and Operation Wealth Creation across the country, Nabakova urges residents of Mityana not to sit back.
Kubanga ku miliyoni omwenda ze tuyina ez'amaka mu Uganda, Operation Wealth Creation yakawaako ebintu amaka emitwalo 9 kitegeeza bye bitundu 10 ku 100 ebitundu 9 ku 100 tebinnatuukibwako naye omulimu ogwo ogukola obulungi kitegeeza nti mmwe abakulembeze abagenda okubeerawo mwe mugenda okusobozesa Operation Wealth Creation ne government yaffe okubanga etuukira ddala ku muntu wa bulijjo mu maka gaffe ffenna okusobola okubeerako bye tukola. N'olwekyo tubasaba mweteeketeeke ng'ekisanja kitandise mu Meeyi okusobola okulaba nga nammwe ab'e Malangala abakola ekitundu ku Mityana district muganyulamu ebyo gavumenti byegenda okuteekawo.
Mr. Busulwa Juma and others present at the function hailed Minister Nabakova for her motherly service to the district and invited new elected leaders to pick the thread from where she stopped.
Honorable Nabakova has done it, and by the way she has served Mityana, because if you compare the previous MPs of Mityana, others have stayed maybe for 20 years and above, but for the case of Honorable Nabakova, she has only served maybe just only this term for something years. Again, as you see, she has done something.
Although Judith Nabakova lost out the Mityana district women representation seat in the recent elections, serving Mityana is still her pride. Robert Onyango, UBC News, Mityana.
Well, UBC News Tonight takes a very short break, but don't touch your dial. We will be back with more stories.
Today tastes like a new tradition, like an old favorite. Tastes like all hands on deck and all eyes on the prize. Today tastes like a piece of the action. And it never tasted this good.
Hello, how are you? Tell me, how do you do? We're here to show some appreciation for the things you do. Sent you for today, and we sent you for tomorrow. Sent you for every time and everywhere you go. We love you so, and we enjoy life with you. We are happy, happy, happy to know that we will go with you. That's why we say, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, yeah. Thank you, thank you.
Thank you for choosing MTN. Use MTN mobile money, bundles or other services to get Thank You points. The more you use, the more Thank You points you get. We look forward to many more years together. Thank you.
It's no secret that ICT makes learning easy.
The strides made in our field could not be possible without it.
And now we can watch our favorite show.
My radio is my best friend.
UCC provides an enabling regulatory environment and policy guidance for healthy competition. We also facilitate ease of doing business in the communications sector through licensing, standardization, spectrum management, tariff regulation, rural communication development, and consumer empowerment. An informed consumer is an empowered consumer. UCC supports local content and innovations. Driving the development of a robust communication sector in Uganda is Uganda Communications Commission.
Back from that break, you're still watching UBC News Tonight. I'm Lauryn, Masika, Kazimoto, and on the sign language you do have Elizabeth Nakakoni. Now moving on with more stories, Forum for Democratic Change FDC party has distanced itself from a proposal issued in a statement by the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development imposing taxes on bank withdrawal transactions. Harold Kaija, FDC Deputy Secretary General, asserts that if Parliament approves the proposal, it will financially suffocate Ugandans who are already paying different taxes as stipulated by government. He rather advises government to cut down on the number of legislators so that money paid for salaries and sitting allowances can be injected into limping.
Social media was awash with another proposal to charge cash withdrawals. Because we have seen so many things that have gone on without Parliament passing them, yet they are mandatory to be commanded or to take place after Parliament has allowed.
We have never implemented any tax before the approval of Parliament.
Last Thursday, a letter issued by Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development asking Parliament to approve taxes on bank withdrawal transactions made rounds on social media, where most Ugandans on the digital platform were against the move. During a press briefing at Forum for Democratic Change FDC party headquarters in Najanankumbi, the party Deputy Secretary General Harold Kaija says his party strongly rejects this move due to its far-reaching ramifications once approved.
In a country that has liquidity issues,
economics of money, we call it liquidity, money issues in banks. Because wherever they go, banks do not have the capacity to have the money that can sustain our economy. So then one of the major sources of money are through savings. Now you are telling people who are saving even the little, and if you are aware, most of the bank accounts are in red. Now you are asking them, the person who earns money and pays payee, and then he deposits his money on account. Then he tries, at least some of them try to pick some money. You pick a taxi. And even on that money that is in the account, there is a tax.
He explains that instead of having a bloated parliament, government should think of reducing the number of legislators who are consuming taxpayers' money. He also says there's duplication of roles in many government ministries, parastatals and departments.
Uganda that has a MPs 526 with a population of 45 million. India with a billion population has 543. So we are actually overrepresented. The right thing to do, not to tax Ugandans, would reduce the administrative costs.
The party has also come out to condemn a move by the Legal Committee of Parliament, who are proposing that a 5-year elective term in office should be increased to 7 years.
That I hear, Sigui 2 years, you spend learning. Our parliament must not be a school. It must be a house where experts go to think for this country. Here's where you find someone who does not even understand his own village, issue of his village. He's becoming an MP.
Meanwhile, FDC has put in place a complaints desk in conjunction with a team of lawyers who are said to give legal help to Ugandans whose relatives were allegedly whisked away by security operatives, with some families not knowing the whereabouts of their loved ones.
We ask for names, nobody wants to give you the names. You hear people go to police, the military, nobody answers them. So as the FDC we are saying, we shall have a team here. People must be coming here in Nakakoni. They register their people who are missing, circumstances, and the like, and give us enough details. Our team will hit the road to go and fix this mess.
Jizamba Helen Barbara, Andrew Sebila for UBC News.
Pediatric oncologists are calling upon the Ministry of Education and Sports to set up learning and examination sites at the Cancer Institute to enable children on treatment to continue with their education. The call was made during the commemoration of the International Childhood Cancer Day, set to raise awareness about childhood cancer and to express support for children and adolescents with cancer. Our health reporter Zahara Abigaba reports from the Cancer Institute at Mulago.
Whoever you see, whoever you like. Like so much of our lives, COVID-19 has had a huge impact on childhood cancer, and not just in delays on diagnosis and treatment, but also education. It is from this backdrop that the pediatric oncologists are calling upon Ministry of Education to set examination sites at the Cancer Institute.
Ministry of Education and Sports, for example, opening a treatment, an examination site here at the Uganda Cancer Institute, or posting teachers from the UPE and the USE here so that children can continue with their education, which is short-lived. They are. So a child should be able to continue with their education while on treatment. If they have exams, to sit their exams, be it PLE, be it S4, because their treatment is for a short time.
While commemorating the International Childhood Cancer, Dr. Balagadde called for collective responsibility to tackle childhood cancer. The day promotes increased appreciation and deeper understanding of issues and challenges impacting on childhood cancer and the survivors.
All of us, whoever we may be, we can all do something to improve the survival of children with cancer and move from 50% to 60% by the year 2030, and I think it is possible through our hand.
Dr. Nixon Niyonzima, head of research at Uganda Cancer Institute, notes that they are to start doing continuous matrix to plan better for their patients, know numbers of patients that report to the institute, and also advise better the government. He also revealed that they are doing a lot of pediatric cancer research, and a number of studies are running to address the challenges with childhood cancer in the country.
A clinical trial for
Buckets lymphoma, looking at rituximab. Rituximab is a targeted therapy. It targets specific cancer cells which you will have identified through the precise diagnostics that we have talked about to actually improve the survival. Again, I've talked about survival in the 1960s being, 60s, 70s being about 60%. We want to push this to 90% as is in the Western world. And we can only do this through these targeted therapies that we are testing. And actually taking tumors from patients, transferring them into mice, and seeing how the tumor behaves in mice. And in mice, of course, you're able to test different treatments which you cannot test in patients. So we also have all those trials that are helping us to improve the treatments that we provide to cancer patients.
Cancer is the leading cause of death for children and adolescents around the world.
How aware are Ugandans about childhood cancer? I think I want to start by saying that the awareness of cancer generally in this country is still low.
And so now we are coming up with education material that is understandable enough for children, that does not scare them, but also important for the teachers, because teachers spend a lot of time with the children, and so they are able to see changes in these children. And then we're taking some of this information also to mothers and fathers.
Each year, more than 400,000 children are diagnosed with cancer globally. Zahara Abigaba, UBC.
Well, a very good initiative that should be implemented as fast as possible. Now, the increasing number of cancer-related cases among children due to the COVID-19 impact has prompted the British High Commission to provide modern isolation rooms to children living with cancer at Blessed Child Foundation in Kampala. The first Secretary Political at British High Commission Kampala, Simon Tucker, was shocked with the increasing cases and reiterated more support. Brian Walusimbi, Executive Director, Blessed Child Foundation, says the survival rate of the children diagnosed with the disease is as low as 20 to 30% due to inequalities in access to care. This was part of the commemoration to mark the International Childhood Cancer Day.
A recent research done by Blessed Child Foundation and partners showed that cancer is now the leading cause of death among children, especially in low and middle income households. According to a pediatric oncologist, Dr. Annie Akuro, about 1,000 children are diagnosed with cancer. She asserts that because of the inequalities to access care, the survival rate in these lower families stands at 20% lower than in high-income households, where recovery is at 80%. The COVID-19 pandemic crippled these families' ability to operate because of fear to spread the virus, thereby exacerbating the situation.
The Uganda Cancer Institute, for example, sees about 500 new cases of childhood cancer a year. And then there is another treatment center in Mulago Hospital which sees approximately 300 new cases of childhood cancer every year, and this is going up. And yet there is a treatment center in Bulu and another treatment center in Barara. So you can imagine what the magnitude of childhood cancer is in Uganda. Unfortunately, the cause of childhood cancer is actually unclear.
In lieu of this, a diplomatic delegation from the British High Commission in Kampala has donated modern COVID-19 isolation rooms at Blessed Child Foundation Kampala towards safety of children living with cancer. The gesture is expected to mitigate spread of COVID-19 within the children and enable the home to operate efficiently in supporting childhood cancer care.
But from my perspective, it's amazing to see this support given to parents and children of children with cancer to really ensure that they can get the most from their medical treatments. As we know, medical treatment is not enough. It needs the wraparound support that Blessed Child Foundation is here and able to give. It was wonderful to meet.
The Executive Director, Blessed Child Foundation, Brian Walusimbi, asserts that early diagnosis, which is the major hiccup to many families due to deficient awareness, can save lives of many children living with cancer.
And then watching their lives end at a really early age. So we, as much awareness as possible in the villages and in every region of Uganda for people to get to know about childhood cancer. The cure is possible if the disease is detected early.
The launch of the isolation rooms was in commemoration of the International Childhood Cancer Day. Blessed Child Foundation is providing care and physio-social support services to over 400 children suffering from cancer-related diseases. Story by Robert Waiter for UBC News.
Thank you for that report, Robert. Now, from a hard pastoral life to an agricultural lifestyle, a batch of former herdsmen has converted to an agricultural lifestyle in Amudat in response to a government call for proper use of water for agricultural production. Karamoja is one of Uganda's water-stressed areas, normally affected by the hard drought resulting in loss of livestock. But this time around, the story may be different now that a path to the agricultural lifestyle is attracting many. Details in this report.
Farmers in Amdat district in Karamoja sub-region have organized themselves in small groups to carry on with farming using water for irrigation. Farmers have successfully produced sukuma wiki, tomatoes and cabbages marketable within the district and to the neighboring Republic of Kenya. The farmers are digging holes underground near River Natunget to get water for irrigating their crops using rudimentary methods like scooping from the hole using jerrycans. Others are using minimal as well as mechanized manual means of pumping water from the ground, while others are using small solar-powered pumps. It is unbelievable that the soils on which the short-stunted shrub vegetation is growing can be turned into productive agricultural land in this part of the region. The farmers, who are majorly women, have proved that these shrubs are sitting on a fertile ground that can be used to produce food for them and export once they are availed with water. During a visit to the farmers by Amdat District Chief Administrative Officer Haji Masokoi Waswa, he established that there is need to support these farmers.
And when you are alive, the next thing to do to live well, you must produce and involve yourselves in production. It is production which helps societies and communities to develop. If you are not producing, you can't develop.
The farmers narrated that they are facing a challenge of water to make their crops survive the hot, scorching sun. One of the farmers, Paul Lomongin, cried out that they are trying their level best, but the water sources are not reliable.
Water is really scarce. We don't have water in this area. Even VATs, we don't have VATs in this community, in this area. What I'm requesting now, the most pressing is a road, at least to be created. School. Water.
ZOA, a non-government organization in the community, is calling on government to give more support to these farmers in Amdat district. Haji Masokoi hailed the farmers for the work they are doing to produce food for themselves and sell the surplus to get money. He also directed that a tractor be sent to these farmers to start opening their fields.
Now, NRM supporters in Mbale and Chibuku district have disregarded claims that President Yoweri Museveni rigged votes to attain victory in the just concluded general elections. The supporters, who include business people and NRM cadres, say their candidate won genuinely because the party has gained a lot of trust across the country.
NRM supporters from Mbale and Chibuku districts who gathered at Liama Primary School in Chibuku district have challenged Ugandans in opposition parties who dragged President Museveni to court on allegations of vote rigging to wait and contest again instead of disrupting the country's peace and development.
Uganda is a democratic country. We exercised our democracy right, and we elected President Museveni. We are here to inform all the Ugandans that Museveni got 100%. That's what I can say in Bugisu sub-region.
The supporters from Mbale and Chibuku districts carried placards bearing different writings indicating Museveni won elections with a high percentage in Bukedya and Bugisu saying it's now time for Ugandans to concentrate on developmental activities. They have urged President Yoweri Museveni to now focus on developing his country for the next 5 years. Shaidat Nasaku, UBC.
Today tastes like a new tradition, like an old favorite. Tastes like all hands on deck and all eyes on the prize. Today tastes like a piece of the action. And it never tasted this good.
Shopping needs, come to Capital Shoppers. We have a variety of items like foods, garments, cosmetics, and all sorts of drinks. Enjoy your shopping experience at affordable prices in our fully stocked branches in the following areas: in Tinder Stretcher Road, opposite Makere Business School along Portbell Road, Duster Street opposite Nakasero Market, and Garden City on Yusuf Lule Road. To all our customers and suppliers, we thank you for your continuous support. Stay safe, wash your hands, sanitize, and wear your mask always.
Welcome back from the break, and we're glad that you're still watching UBC News Tonight. I'm Lauryn, Masika, Kazimoto, and on the sign language, Elizabeth Nakakoni. Now, taking a look at our business news today, the Bank of Uganda has maintained the central bank rate of 7%, with the economic turn-up proceeding at an even pace as COVID-19 measures continue to weigh actively on certain activities, the services sector. According to the Deputy Governor, Bank of Uganda, Michael Atingo, economic indicators still suggest some recovery from sharp contractors of 6% and 2.2% in the quarters of June 2020 and September 2020 respectively.
Indeed, the Bank of Uganda, BOU, high-frequency indicators of economic activity indicate a growth of about 2.6% in the quarter to December 2020, down from a growth of 9.2% in the quarter to September 2020. In addition, both the BOU Business Confidence Index and the IHS Market Purchasing Managers Index, PMI, indicate that business conditions deteriorated in the quarter to January 2021 after improving in the quarter to October 2020. Nonetheless, economic indicators still suggest some recovery from the sharp contraction of 6% and 2.2% in the quarters to June 2020 and September 2020 respectively. As the vaccine becomes readily available in Uganda and the spread of COVID-19 is contained, tourism is expected to rebound. In addition, exports should benefit from the strengthening of foreign demand, reduce pandemic-related uncertainty, and improving global investment. Economic growth of 3 to 3.5% is therefore projected in the financial year 2020/21, increasing to 4 to 4.5% and 6 to 7% in the financial years 2021/22 and in the outer years respectively. The MPC maintained the CBR at 7% and the ban on the CBR at plus minus 2 percentage points on the CBR. The margin on the rediscount rate and the bank rate has also been kept unchanged at 3 and 4 percentage points on the CBR respectively.
Raising rabbits is said to be a great source of income for unemployed people and landless farmers. Now, venturing into the practice has an added advantage of bodybuilding and energy-giving food values, including proteins. This is the venture that the Jimmy Bagonza family in Kasese district has embarked on, with children taking the lead role during the COVID-19 lockdown. Take a look.
It is that time of the morning when teamwork in a family means progressive business. As a sister embarks on an early morning cleaning of the shelter, a little brother is feeding these rabbits. It is something that is done here to guarantee a clean environment for proper growth of these small animals.
We start with the cleaning, whereby we collect water, but we first sweep the iron sheets, as you've observed. After sweeping the iron sheets, we'll go into cleaning with detergent.
What a good way to start the day here at Chanzo Kisero, Nyakabingo 2 ward in the Central Division of Kasese Municipality, along with his brother, Walker Arnold Police. 9-year-old Ashley Akampa, a primary 2 pupil, started it as a mere love for pets.
It's Arnold who thought of it, then told me, then we told our auntie, then she bought for us too.
We started with 2 rabbits. They were local breeds, 1 female and 1 male.
It may have started as a fun factor, as Alvin Ainebiona asserts, but it turned into a solution to redundancy during the COVID-19 lockdown. It graduated into something that was least expected, and for now, it is work in progress.
After a month, which is its gestation period, the female produced 6, currently of which the 6, that one is the only survivor. The rest, 2 of them were eaten, and 2 died of natural cause.
Feeding them is not that costly, as they feast on pellets, soya bean, cotton cake, animal salt, meat boosters and maize bran. The breeders are optimistic.
Our future plans are to definitely expand it around the area, making people more aware of how rabbits can easily be acquired, easily be taken care of, and how they are a potential for earning income.
This optimism did not come out of the blue. The support from their youthful mother, Halima Atuhaire, is just encouraging.
We had no idea that it will turn out to be something as big as it is trying to be now.
This, however, has not been without shortcomings. Lack of appropriate feeders and sourcing for the right breeds of rabbit still proves a challenge. But that is not all. There is also this.
Veterinary doctors have not really ventured into the rabbits. We have had problems here. We have had a few that have even got lame and died from vaccination. They similarize all their diseases to chicken, yet there are a few diseases that they do not share with chicken, like the ear canker, the sawhawk. So we try to request the veterinary doctors, as they learn, that they should also try to consider rabbits, so that when we have sick ones, we can always be able to access veterinary doctors.
These 3 boys are children of Jimmy Bagonza Police, a renowned commercial farmer in the Western District of Kasese. They are currently at different levels of education, ranging from primary to secondary. Their hopes are high that their rabbit rearing venture could soon go commercial, despite the challenges.
So much of the time what I would want to tell parents is, let's not impose on children what we want. Let's support our children to live their dream.
Economic experts say to keep rabbits is to keep money. Henry Okrut, UBC.
And now into sports. Uganda Hippos have beaten Mozambique 2-0 to get their AFCON Under-20 Championship campaign off to a flying start at the Stade Olympique in Nouakchott in Mauritania. The second half goals from Derek Kakoza and substitute Steven Serrada sent the Hippos top of Group A level with Cameroon, who beat host Mauritania 1-0 on Sunday. Playing at the tourney for the first time, Molebi Kwaso's side were the better side of the day, and they deservedly took the lead when Aliston Macias handled the ball in box for the referee to point to the spot in the 55th minute. Kakoza calmly sent the keeper to the wrong side to put the champions of the Sekafa into the lead. Substitute Serrada on for Ivan Bogere fared in with his shot hitting from the inside of the crossbar after the Mozambicans failed to deal with Najib Yiga's cross for Kakoza to set the KCC FC starlet. The Hippos will return to action on Wednesday against Cameroon before their last group game against hosts Mauritania on the 20th of February.
هدف أول marqué par le numéro 20, Kakoza Deli.
First game in the tournament is not always easy. That's why even yesterday we did see a lot of goals coming. People are always nervous, scary, taking decisions is always difficult. Players tend to panic. That's why we saw first half all teams were beat down, but due to the grace of God we came back. We told them to play with intensity because we needed to lift our game. So intensity was the key to us. It really helped us to come back into the game.
Now, after about 10 days in a training camp in Tunisia, the vibes from the Silverbacks team point to success at the upcoming Afro basketball qualifier that starts for Uganda on Thursday against Egypt. The Silverbacks have its work cut out needing just one victory to seal a place at the Afro basketball final due in Rwanda later this year. The coaching trio of George Galanopoulos, Monday Jiruni and Andrew Tendo has emphasized defense as the route to success.
Being with a group of guys that brought me in as a brother. I know I'm not, from Uganda, but being adopted, it's amazing. Having guys like Mike and Coach George, and then also the captain Jimmy and Tony and Titus. They're bringing me in, and just they're helping me out while I'm helping them out. So it feels good to represent a country. Also, it's pretty good. I've adapted a lot. because I stayed in contact with the team. I've watched a lot of film being away, still watch film with my team, but also in my free time, I watch, Uganda basketball film, games from the last break. But it's been pretty smooth. The defensive standpoint, that's the one thing that we're really big on this time, defense and box at it a lot. I feel he has high expectations for us, especially the way we played last time. Our defense is something that we need to do. And 2 guys are still not here, and they'll be here tonight and the 1 tomorrow. So I mean, we're almost at full force. I mean, guys are feeling good, a little tired, but I mean that's just basketball. We're going to fight through. We're ready, mentally, physically, every.
UBC News Tonight has come to an end, but we will be leaving you with weather forecast with Alex Kim Sempa. I'm Lauryn, Masika, Kazimoto, and on the sign language, Elizabeth Nakakoni. We wish you a lovely night.
We are once again with the latest in weather from the Weather Center with Sempa Alex Kim. A mixture of sunny and cloudy conditions dominated our skies across the country most of the day. By 9 a.m. this morning, various parts of the country reported some rainfall, like Masindi reported 32.7 millimeters, Barara 27.9, while Kabale reported 16.5 millimeters of rainfall. The satellite look on Africa shows that there are moist winds that are coming in through the Congo forests into a region. The reason the western sector is quite active. However, along the Lake Victoria Basin, we are influenced by the local effects of Lake Victoria. Tomorrow, we do expect sunny intervals across most parts of the country, though along the Lake Victoria Basin, especially in Kampala as well as the islands, we do expect some light rainfall. Well, into the afternoon, we do expect a continuation of light rainfall that will be across the Lake Victoria Basin and parts of Kasese as well as Kabale. This will influence temperatures to range between 32 degrees centigrade, that will be across the northeastern, to 23 degrees, and that will be in Kabale Highlands. And elsewhere across the globe, we are forecasting some chances of rainfall for London at cold temperatures of 11 degrees centigrade, whereas in Moscow, we do expect a continuation of falling snow at degrees well below zero at minus 12 degrees centigrade. That concludes it. Stay tuned.
Brought to you by
At Umeme, your safety is our top priority. Report illegal practices to Umeme when you detect them. Download the Umeme app for other services. Stay alert, stay safe, save lives. Umeme, powering Uganda.
Pedicure and